This is the Nomad Futurist podcast, a podcast about the evolution of technology, society, and transformation. Connect with us, share your thoughts with us at nomadfuturist.com. Let's get this started. Hello. Welcome to Nomad Futurist podcast. This is your host, Nabeel Mahmood. This is a special series that we recently started, and I believe you guys actually have met several other hosts with Phil Colbins and Jody Lynn. Today, I've got the pleasure of actually bringing on board Lindsay McConville. She's actually one of our ambassadors, and I want to take an opportunity for her to quickly introduce herself, and then we want to share some of the cool stuff that she's been up to. So, Lindsay, go for it.
Perfect. Thank you, Nabeel. I'm happy to be here today. Yeah, name is Lindsay McConville, and I work for Northshore as a senior consulting engineer over in Amsterdam. I'm originally from the US and moved over to Amsterdam about a year and a half ago and have been living here since. And in my current role, I work mostly on the engineering side. So my background is in mechanical engineering, and I'm currently mostly working with clients to help improve their buildings' efficiency. So on the sustainability front and focus on helping them implement projects and meet regulations related to their building performance.
Wonderful. Well, so you're truly living a nomadic lifestyle. So you graduated from Santa Clara University, if I remember it correctly, with a mechanical
Yeah.
engineering degree. Did you really know much about the data centers when you started that degree, or was that something that came during and after your graduation?
Yeah, no, not at all. So I knew nothing about the data center industry. I had a vague understanding of what a data center was. So I knew it was these buildings that those servers and those servers are used to transmit and store information. And that was the entire extent of my knowledge. So I really didn't become familiar with the industry until my junior year of college when I was looking for an internship for the summer. And one of my professors at the time, he had posted on our Canvas page about an internship opportunity with Northshore, which is the current company that I work for. And it was a summer internship program for a mechanical engineering student. And I read through the description and thought, wow, okay, this is really interesting. I know a little bit about data centers, but not really. And the whole focus was on making the internet more sustainable. And that was what really drew me in and piqued my interest. I kind of thought, okay, how does that work? How can you make the internet more sustainable? And I ended up applying for that internship, getting it, and then it all sort of took off from there.
Wonderful. And you've been there for almost 4 years now, so that's absolutely wonderful. All right. So, for starters, I want to really thank you for joining us as one of our ambassadors for the initiative that we're working on. And I recently found out that you spoke with your high school engineering class. Could you share your experience and what did you guys cover and what was it all about? And how do we get all those people into our space?
Yeah, absolutely. So, starting about 3 years ago, my high school physics teacher reached out and told me that he was doing a intensive course, an engineering intensive course, which is a 3 week long course where the students only take that class. So, this didn't exist when I was in high school. It was a new program. And as part of that course, he wanted to bring people who are currently working in the engineering field in to talk about their career path and what industry they're working in. So, starting 3 years ago, I've been joining every year to present to the students on what I do in the data center industry. And I most recently did that a couple weeks ago for the class. And it was a really great conversation with them. I was quite surprised by how much they knew about the data center industry before I even presented. That was quite impressive to me. But yeah, it was a wonderful experience every year. And it's cool to see the growth in the students year after year.
Wonderful. Well, maybe what we ought to do is actually take these students out to a physical data center. So do send them an invite, open anytime. We'll make sure that we can actually take them out and have them touch and feel. Hopefully that nobody presses any buttons.
Yeah.
But it'll be a wonderful experience. What were some of your key takeaways? What were some of the key lessons that you learned? How do these students, based on what you're telling me, they had a general understanding of what a data center is? How do they come about learning about data center? We having the best kept secret.
I know. That's a great point. I don't know what the answer to that is. I'm not quite sure. It's a good question to go back and ask them. I think it's definitely a spectrum. There are some students who didn't know what a data center was at all. And then there are some that had, especially into the physical servers themselves. And, we're asking great questions about, okay, but how do you make the building more efficient? And why are data centers in the global data center or digital infrastructure industry, why is it consuming so much energy? These really great questions. But how they gain that knowledge, I'm not sure if that's a testament to the school they went to, the teachers, or just really they heard something or saw something online that inspired them to go deep dive, look at how those systems work. But it's a good thing, I think, to look into to try and get more students interested and educated on the industry.
Absolutely. Well, so that's kind of like our mission, right? So if something is working and something is doing the right thing and spreading the word and creating awareness, I mean, if we can leverage and build on it and replicate that in the rest of the world, I believe what we are set forth to do, we've been able to accomplish. So that's a wonderful thought. So yeah, I would love to know what they did and how they did that and what sparked that curiosity and that interest. What are some of your takeaways? What's next for you? I mean, not that you're going to leave Northshore or whatever the case might be. What are some of the things that you're looking at? What's getting you excited about the space that we're in?
It's a good question. I think maybe taking a step back, looking at the differences I'm seeing between the US and Europe is sort of one thing I've been thinking about a lot recently. And when I was working in the US, the data center industry is really driven by the hyperscalers. It's really driven by the larger companies, what they're doing. Whereas over in Europe, I'm seeing so much revolving around compliance and regulation. And that's been the main driver, I would say, in terms of sustainability, which is the space that I work in, as having they're being the most focused there. So that's one thing I'm thinking about is what does that mean for the US moving forward versus the EU or APAC? How does the industry look in each of these regions and what can be done in each of them? So that's the main thing at the moment.
Well, it's absolutely bound to happen. I mean, it is coming to the US very soon. It has to.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So, as a young individual that's been in the space for give or take roughly about 4 years, what would you tell the younger Lindsay if you were to do it all over again?
I think stay motivated, stay curious, continue to ask really good questions. I think we don't do that enough. I think questions are really valuable. That's how you learn. Asking those questions to whoever you can to get a better understanding of every individual system. Because actually, there's so many different parts of this industry that I didn't even realize till quite recently. And so, had I known that sooner, I think it would have been even better and the world would have opened up more. So I think just staying curious and continuing to look into those things that you're wondering about and you're interested in. I think that's something that I would tell myself now looking back.
Thank you. Well, no, that's a great message. So stay curious and ask questions. And Lindsay is actually a great story. She graduated of Santa Clara University, moved to Amsterdam, and that's what this is all about. We are in a global economy, and you can truly live a nomadic lifestyle. You don't have to be in the heart of Silicon Valley to be engaged and involved and connected. You can be anywhere in the world. Lindsay, thank you very much for joining us and be our ambassador in spreading the word. Thank you for your continued support and sharing new ideas. Wonderful to have you on board.
Thank you for having me. Excited to keep it going.
This has been great. Nothing lasts forever. Markets will come back, currencies will rebound, businesses will go on, and we will all move on. That could happen next week, next month, or next year. At Nomad Futurist, we're confident that those who prepare rather than panic will come out of this stronger. Thank you for joining us. This has been brought to you by Nomad Futurist. Check us online at nomadfuturist.org. And thank you for listening and subscribing, as well as your continued support.